Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us here today. We are brought to you by Russell and Associates and joined now by head coach Todd Eisner of the Warrior men's basketball team. A split on the road. I know historically you said if you can split on the road in the NSIC, that's a good weekend. However, you were facing some really tough competition this past weekend. Let's start with Mary and find out your thoughts on that. I know we don't want to, speculate as to why somebody has a good game. But Brock Voigt had a really good weekend, and he was just on the show this past week. So maybe we can take a little credit for that. Probably not, though. Your thoughts on the games this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Brock was tremendous all weekend, but if that's the case, then he needs to pass that on to Devon Fielding today, so that Devon has a great weekend this coming weekend with Moorhead and St. Cloud. So, the Mary game it played out kind of like we thought it was going to play out. I mean, they've got a talented team. They're not terribly disciplined at times, and for the first 20 minutes we were kind of stuck in the mud again offensively, and made the game harder than we needed to make the game. But when you're on the road, games are hard, and we found a way to win, and we needed to win badly. So at the end of the day, certainly a lot of things to fix, certainly a lot of things that we need to get better at as we continue to move forward in our season, with another month left to go. But we did enough to finish off the game, and so that was the positive out of it.
And I know that you were still hurting. You were missing a couple of players again this weekend. And one of the things you were talking about with Brock Voigt last week was that he was going to see more time on the court. He got the start this weekend, or at least on Friday. And so he had to put in a lot of minutes, and he did. How do you feel your team played, especially on Friday? We'll get to Saturday in a moment, but I know that, in the past weeks you were talking about how the play wasn't maybe up to the level that you expected it from, but you did get the win against Mary. How do you feel in that sense that the
Yeah.
team did?
I thought we battled, and that was the first step of trying to fix a little bit of what our ails were. I mean, we're still not defending on a consistent enough basis. We defended really well in the first half against Mary, did not defend very well in the second half. We didn't score it very well in the first half. We scored it much easier the second half. So, but we asked a lot of Brock. We're asking too much of our starters right now. And so Brock obviously he was our only four-man, and I'm not sure Brock is a four-man. He's a different type of four-man than what Carson is or what Alumide is. But he played, I think, 34 minutes both nights. We didn't really have a backup for him, not in terms of an actual position person. Gavin Hurley filled in a little bit there for him, and that's just not what we brought Gavin Hurley here to do. But we're in a numbers crunch a little bit, and so Brock really stepped up and gave us yeoman's work both nights, scored it at a high level. But I thought we competed better. Overall, we're making the game harder than we need to right now. And yet I thought we battled even better on Saturday night against a really, really good Minot team. So, Friday was much needed. We just did not play very well the previous three games, as I'd mentioned. And we needed to just get back to trusting that our competitiveness will put us in a positive position. And I thought our guys did a better job of that this weekend.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Saturday, because Minot State came in nationally ranked, and you were within 7 at the end. Talk about how your team battled through that game.
Yeah, I mean, so Minot obviously ranked 21st in the country. They had beaten Mankato the night before, who was number 1 in the country. They're playing at a really, really high level, and on both ends of the floor. And again, my concern is our depth just isn't good enough right now. We're really milking our starters for too many minutes. I mean, both Dylans are playing 35 minutes a game. Like, as I mentioned, Brock played 34 minutes a game. I think Devon played over 30 minutes both nights. And so we're just, we're struggling there. And Minot hurt us with their bench. We did a really nice job defensively on their starters. Their starters are tremendous. They had a couple guys come off the bench that really, really helped them. But at the end of the day, we were down big early, and we had a chance to fold our tent up. And I thought our guys did a great job of battling back into the game. I think we were down 6 or 8 at the half, scored the first 10 points of the second half to get back in the game. Led with about 9 minutes to go by 1 or 2. Got to the line down 2 with about 6 minutes to go, missed both free throws. And yet at the end of the game, we were down 3 with 1:20 to go. They missed a shot. We didn't come up with the rebound. They hit a long two to get it to 5 with about a minute to go, and pretty much sealed it. But we really, really had a chance. And we're not playing to go up to Minot to have a chance. But again, I thought overall there were some positive strides out of it. They're very good, and but we can play with that team. And now we get a new challenge on Friday because I think Moorhead was 5th in the country last week. I don't know where they are this week, but they're a different challenge, and they've got a great point guard, and they've got some great size up front. They play a bunch with their both post players playing 6'8", 7'1". And I'm not sure we have anybody on our team 6'8", besides 7'1". So it's just the fun of the NSIC. There's no days to rest. We did get a split, which in a normal year, that's what you at the minimum want to do. And now we've got to figure out a way to win some home games coming up this weekend.
Yeah, you talked about the national rankings, and I checked the poll before we started recording, and the new poll hadn't been released yet, but Minnesota State was #1 last week. They have the same record now as Minnesota State Moorhead at 11-1 overall, or in the conference, and so you imagine that Moorhead probably moved up and Minnesota State moved down. You talked about using your starters maybe too much.
Yeah.
I know your bench is depleted, but how do you try to get the most out of your bench, especially this weekend with another nationally ranked team coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to our guys just briefly. Well, obviously, we wanted to get on that bus and figure out a way to get home from Minot, but I talked to our guys briefly after the game. I mean, it's a little bit of the chicken or the egg. The guys on the bench feel like if I put them in more, they'd, show me what they can do. And as I told them, at the end of the day, that's what practice is for. And you've got to show me in practice each day, each week, that if we put you in the game, that you're going to be able to do the things that we need you to do and do them at a high level. I mean, like I said, where we got hurt on Saturday night is Minot's bench was very, very productive. And so we just it's a conundrum that I'm in a little bit, in that, I feel like we need Connor Dillon on the floor. I think we need Declan Dillon on the floor. Devon's done a nice job defensively and has established himself as somebody that we want on the floor. I mean, Carson's playing, we want him on the floor. I think we're going to get Illumide back this weekend. And if that's the case, we're going to want him on the floor. And so, it's just, but yet we're asking him to play 2 nights in a row, and so if we can get 10 minutes a game out of some people, but it's got to be productive 10 minutes. Drew Adams gave us some good minutes on Saturday night. Hopefully that can carry over here for the rest of the season. And obviously Brock, whether he starts or comes off the bench, has been really good for us. So we've got to find a way to have 8 or 9 guys on a consistent basis. And, hopefully we get some guys back this weekend. It'll give us a better chance to do that.
All right. Well, I know that you're probably glad to be home this weekend. As you said, it's Minnesota State Moorhead and then St. Cloud State on Saturday. So we wish you the best of luck in those games. And thanks for the time talking about this past week here on the show.
All right, Justin. Good to see you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. And when we come back, we'll talk with Devon Fielding. That's coming up right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25, brought to you by Russell & Associates. Our guest today is Devon Fielding. Devon, thank you for joining us here today.
Of course.
So you're from La Crosse, went to La Crosse Central. Let's talk a little bit about that and your career. I know that when you were younger in La Crosse, Johnny and Jordan Davis were there, and then you kind of took over minutes starting your junior year and had a really good career at La Crosse Central, including getting to the state championship game one year. Talk about your career and maybe what some of your favorite moments were from La Crosse Central.
Obviously, probably my favorite moments going to state my senior year. Being able to play with Johnny and Jordan my sophomore year definitely helped my transition to junior year, because obviously Johnny's in the NBA, so I learned a lot from those two. And it definitely helped me out the next 2 years when they left, and even leading up to college.
So, well, what kind of things did you maybe take away from them? I mean, I know that in seeing some of the interviews with your high school coach, they said you had a great work ethic, and you were one of the main reasons why you got to the state championship game, including hitting a three-pointer, I think, late in the game that led you to the state championship game. But what are some of the things that you kind of learned on your way as a younger player to be able to be in a position like that and be a key player?
I'll probably say the most I learned from them is like the stuff that goes behind closed door that everybody else doesn't see, like the work you're putting in outside of just practice and all that. That it takes a lot to be able to get to state and be able to succeed during your season.
All right. Let's talk about that game right before the state championship game. As I said, you had a key moment in there and kind of led your team to that state championship game. What was that like? What were some of the emotions that were going through your mind as you played that game?
Uh, Probably most emotion, probably nervous. Obviously, had a tough Medford team going to state tournament. They could shoot really well, shot well all game, and leading up to just the end, they shot very well against us. So obviously, pretty nervous about that as it gets down to the end, trying to figure out to stop them and what they're doing well and all that. So honestly, mostly pretty nervous. Once it got towards the end, kind of just calmed down. Then you just rely on the work you put in for like the end of the game, and once you get that win, it feels incredible.
All right, let's talk about your decision then to come to Winona State. Obviously, it's close to home. You could have stayed in lacrosse. I think you got an offer from them. You got some offers from other schools as well. But what was the decision to come here to Winona State?
A lot about their history, being able to play in a conference like the NSIC, tough conference, close to home, and feel like I just hit my potential most here with this coaching staff here.
Now, as we heard from Coach Eisner, obviously with some of the injuries, you've been playing a bigger role. You've started a majority of the games this season. What's that been like for you in your sophomore year to be getting more time out in the court and being thrown into a bigger role?
Definitely different than my freshman year, but once I start getting more minutes, you just gotta remember all the stuff you learned freshman year, because that's mostly what it's for, just learning, picking up on everything. So when you get that chance, you make the most of it, and then they must have liked what I've been doing since I'm still getting that time. So
Yeah, as you mentioned, the NSIC is tough with a lot of nationally ranked teams in the division. You go back-to-back weekends facing nationally ranked teams. What do you have to do, and what do the Warriors have to do to be successful this weekend?
like Coach said, rely on our defense, because that's what we're supposed to be known for. Kind of got away from it lately, which is why I've been losing more recently. But I think if the offense will come, as we all say, but defense is one thing you can't change. So if you bring in the defense, you always have a chance.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time here, and good luck this weekend against Moorhead and St. Cloud State.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And thank you for joining us here on the Warrior Report. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk women's basketball with head coach Anna Wurtz right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell and Associates, and we'll switch now to women's basketball with head coach Anna Wurtz. And Coach Wurtz, thanks for joining us here today. I know that this past weekend was a little disappointing with a pair of road losses. Again, long road trip. Played well, I think, for the most part against Mary, just trailing by 3 points at the break. But I won't put words into your mouth. How do you feel the team played against Mary?
Yeah, I mean, it got me a little bit of excitement moving forward. I feel like we put together a full half on both sides of the ball that went pretty well. Was proud of how we defended, and I felt like our motion and our offense was really flowing, and yeah, no empty possessions. And yeah, it was a really good solid half. So I felt like, maybe we're turning a corner here, seeing some consistency, and was very excited about that going into the locker room, but certainly not satisfied. And came out, and unfortunately it was a different story.
Yeah, and then you were kind of battling some things as well because Maddie Shimmons was not available this weekend, so you're kind of down a player in that sense. But still, there was a lot of fight with the team, and you were in the game for the most part. I think the final score is a little deceiving because Mary went on a 10-3 run at the end, so it really was closer than what the final score was. But I think that was a good springboard into Mina, but you did get some good contributions from like Haley Markworth. She scored 10 points off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, Haley's just been consistent, and that's all we keep talking about is we're looking for consistency in play, and it starts in practice. So that's something, when it comes to playing time, I understand that people have been getting inconsistent minutes, but the reality is, we see them every day. We see them in practice. We see what happens in games, and we're looking for people that are consistent. And Haley has just been somebody that we know exactly what we're going to get. She's able to create her own shot at times, get to the rim, finish. She got to the rim and got some easy opportunities. It was really nice. Sometimes she has to take more difficult shots, but she's been working on her game a bit to be able to get by somebody's hip and get a little bit easier finishes. And so that was really exciting to see moving forward. But she's also just somebody who we know we're going to get rebounds out of every game. She always is there. She brings a nice energy and just a good fight to every possession. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. And then someone else that we haven't really talked about too much, but is getting more minutes lately and is producing on the court is Emma Kilpatrick. She had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists against Mary. So she's putting in some good minutes for you as well.
Yeah, very excited about her minutes. She's just one of those stories that I just am excited for moving forward, because she's probably one of the hardest workers in our program. She's been getting in reps with both Hannah and Emily Keek every week. She's working on her finishing. She's working on certain things. And, we talk all the time about, when's her opportunity going to come? And you just say the work while you wait, and it's going to pay off. You just never know the timeline. And she's putting a little interesting twist into things because she put together 2 weeks of practice that were very consistent. And that's what I said. So now it's like, okay, which direction do we go? She's earned something. So what do we do about that when it comes to the minutes? And yeah, so proud of her, but definitely puts an extra wrinkle into trying to make decisions on game day with who's going to be out there.
So, I mean, is that the struggle this week then? I mean, you're back home. You're rested up a little bit. I know some sickness went through the team last weekend as well. But are you trying to put these puzzle pieces together and find out what chemistry is going to work on the court?
We are. I think that's kind of been the tough spot this season, is just you start the first 5 games without Alex Dornfeld. That's 30 minutes that all of a sudden she comes back and she's deserved. She earned a long time ago, so she gets those back. So where do they go? And then as soon as she comes back, you lose Maddie Shimmons, and now you got another 30 minutes you got to replace. And it's just been kind of shuffling through. And then of course we lose Maddie again, and she might be back again a little bit this weekend. We'll see. It's just, yeah, those are 2 people. They're 30-minute a game people, in my opinion, as far as the production that they put together. And when they're not on the floor, it's just trying to figure out, okay, then who is going to replace them? Is it 1 person, 2 people? What is it? But yeah, we're still figuring it out. My goal was after Christmas to have this all sorted out, and we just kind of keep getting little wrinkles thrown in. But yeah, at least I know that we've got to be better. We have been inconsistent in our play and it's not good enough and I'm not satisfied. But I do like that we do have a lot of people that can defend rebound. We talked about that last season was, you got to start there. And at least we check that box. We're going to defend and rebound. Now, who's going to put the ball in the basket is what we're really waiting for.
Yeah, that was a key in the stats that I was looking at against Minot is the rebounding was kind of even. And then the 3-point shooting was even in that game, which that had kind of gone away in past weekends. So obviously there was a lot there. And then you talked about Alex Dornfeld. She had a double-double against Minot. So obviously she's working hard as well.
Yeah, right. I mean, she prides herself on getting boards and we need them. We talked about that. It's just, what do you do that you can bring to the table that someone else, if I see you sitting on the bench, why do we need you out there? And if we're not grabbing rebounds, I know we need to get Alex in the game because she's going to pursue them. She is one of the top rebounders in the league. She was last year. And I know that she's up there again. I'm sure she's on a mission to go get boards.
And then another player to highlight from Minot was Olivia Gamoki, 4 of 5 from 3-point range, 17 points overall. You had to be happy with what you got from her in that game.
I sure am. I mean, she started off early, goofy turnovers just because she didn't take her open shots. And that's kind of been a part of her growing process coming into our program. Like transfers, she was incredible at Sioux Falls and she still is an incredible player, but she got to learn how to play within what we do and what I like. And, I like to see the ball go up from 3. So just kind of getting her to a point where she's confident and wants to take that shot and believes it. We do a lot of shooting drills every day. And she's always got the highest score. It's not within question. Like she's just very consistent in practice and it's just getting to her to take those in a game consistently. And we get down and then she made a decision that, all right, it's my turn. Well, we need her to do that every night. If she's open, that shot's got to go.
All right. Just quickly, we have a few minutes left in the segment, but Caitlin Shrimp is the guest here today. What can you tell me about her contributions to the team this year?
Yeah, well, she's just a defensive stopper. We know that she understands her role and her assignment there. And yeah, she's a very capable outside shooter. And she knows that. And I know she kind of goes back and forth. She's just not knocking them down. Sometimes I feel like she has more that like go in and out than any other player, which is just devastating at times, but they're right there. When it leaves her hands, I'm fully confident it's got a great chance to go in. And then she's just been such a joy to have in our program. She's just a consistent personality, shows up every day. It's not ever one of those days in 4 years that I've ever been like, oh no, she's having a bad day. She is Caitlin and she shows up and that's just it. She was going through some adversity this past week and I learned about it and I would have had no idea because she just, regardless of what's going on in her outside life, she's going to be Caitlin. So yeah, we love her and we're going to miss her so much.
All right. And then finally, Moorhead and St. Cloud are the opponents this weekend. How do you feel you match up against those teams?
Yeah, I mean, always tough. I mean, have been in the league for a long time. You tell me Moorhead and St. Cloud, and it's like, all right, here we go. They are who they are. Their coaches are great leaders, great coaches. It's going to be a tough battle without a doubt. Moorhead's going to have an inside game, and unfortunately for us, they surround their inside game with quite a bit of outside shooting. So, yeah, it'll be a tough matchup from there. And St. Cloud runs Princeton stuff. We're familiar with it. We kind of tried running that a little bit last year, but they have made it their own. It doesn't matter what personnel they have. I feel like every year they just slide new people in those positions and make plays. So it's going to be a tough matchup both nights, but it should be fun. We've got our alumni coming back on Saturday, and so hopefully there's a good buzz in the gym.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for the time this week, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, we'll talk with Caitlin Shrimp right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HPC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates and now joined by Caitlin Shrimp. Caitlin, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this is the first time that you've been on the program, so we always like to find out a little bit about who you were before you were a Warrior, and that kind of helps us enjoy what you do out on the floor. You were a multi-sport athlete in high school, both basketball and soccer. In soccer, you were able to get to the state championship game, win a state championship game. You scored a goal in the state championship game, also excelled in basketball. Tell me some of your favorite memories from Oregon.
Yeah, for sure that state championship game for soccer was super memorable, a day I will never forget. It was awesome to have so many fans in the stands and just be a part of just an amazing season with a great team. On the other hand, basketball, my senior year, we were actually able to make it to the state tournament for the first time my city has in 40 years. So that was also a super memorable experience, and I'm really grateful I got to experience that in both sports throughout high school.
So you excelled in both of those sports. What was the determining factor to go after basketball as the sport you chose for college?
Yeah, I guess basketball was just kind of my favorite growing up. Don't get me wrong, I loved playing soccer, but yeah, growing up, I would be outside shooting hoops in the backyard every day, and I think it was pretty apparent that basketball was kind of my thing. And as I got into high school, I knew that was what I wanted to pursue in college.
All right. Let's talk about your choice of colleges because it was really interesting, reading up on you and finding out why you chose Winona State. And it wasn't necessarily because of basketball, although you love playing basketball, but you were choosing a school based on the academics. And you kind of envisioned, if I weren't playing basketball, would I still go to the school as an academic school? That's definitely a different mindset. Where did that come up for you? And is that something that you've always kind of thought about when you were making a choice for college?
Yeah, I guess going through looking at schools, I kind of just made a pros and cons checklist and really, like you said, tried to envision if I weren't to play basketball, would I still love the school as much? And of course, basketball, like everything checked my boxes when it came to that. Such a great program, great team, great coaches. I loved every aspect about that, but also with the academic side, I also found that extremely important to me, looking into schools, and pretty much had no cons at the end of the day. Everything was a perfect fit when it came to Winona State. So I never regret that decision for sure.
So academically, or at least on the roster, you're listed as a junior, but this is going to be your last season at Winona State. You've already decided to, pursue your academics at UW La Crosse next year. When did you make that decision, and how tough of a decision was that to maybe leave another year on the table as far as basketball goes?
Yeah, it definitely was one of the hardest decisions I've had to make. And freshman year, when we found out that we were able to get the extra fifth year, it was kind of a battle throughout the next couple years whether or not I take it. But at the end of the day, it just made sense for me with just how much schooling I have left. Definitely bittersweet that I won't be coming back next year, but I'm really excited for my future plans, and I'll definitely still be in Winona. I'll just be 30 minutes away in La Crosse, so I won't be a stranger to the games and such. So I'm really excited about that.
Very good. So what are your future plans then?
I will be attending UW La Crosse next year for to get my doctorate in physical therapy. Hopefully after that, I will become a physical therapist and work with athletes like myself. It's just kind of always been my calling and my dream job ever since I was young. So hopefully the plan works out.
So is that physical therapy for sports, or is it just kind of a general thing? Will sports still be in your future?
The program is just general, but in the future, if I have an opportunity to specialize in something, I would definitely look into sports medicine.
All right. Well, I appreciate taking the time here, and definitely good luck this weekend in the games back at home at McCown Gymnasium.
Thank you so much.
All right. And thank you for watching the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. See you next week.